What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you some freshly revealed details from Larian Studios on the upcoming Baldur's Gate 3, which launches just a couple days from now. At the time of this video, and via Community Update 22, we got some interesting perspectives on a few things. Some stuff we already knew, other stuff is new information or confirmed for the first time even, so I thought it would be fun to go over it and share some of that news with you. So first and foremost, the Community Update talks about wielding the power of a mind flayer. Because, lest we forget, the main plot hook, so to speak, of Baldur's Gate 3 is that we have been infected with a mind flayer tadpole, and we would like to deal with that situation. However, to make that a more scintillating choice, shall we say, they decided to tempt us with power. Over the course of the game, you'll be encountering other people with these tadpoles, and you also might just find some laying around, they say. And should you choose to consume these tadpoles, you can further increase your own power granted by them at the potential cost of the corruption that would come with them, or potentially just you dying in some fashion, probably horrifically, in exchange for the power they offer. And this comes from a separate 25 skill tree that represents all the powers we can learn this way. Each extra tadpole we consume will grant us a choice of one of these abilities, many of which can be very powerful. They give an example of free cast here in this screenshot, as well as mentioning that one of them can turn you into a displacer beast. Generally though, these powers will be completely unique to whatever you do level up wise. Many of them will of course interact with various class abilities, that kind of thing, but they aren't directly related to any class. It is a separate progression system, and of the 25 skills that are on offer here, they are divided into 5 branches themed around various types of power, such as manipulating people, restoring your own health, psionic abilities, among other things. So certainly an interesting thing to be sure, and they also tease that this might not even be the full scope of the system, that there might be more to discover on your own. Overall though, a pretty cool concept that both rewards you with actual power while forcing you to choose between the obvious choice of getting rid of this thing or powering it up and helping you overcome your challenges. From there, however, they go on to discuss some of the various actors working behind the scenes to bring the game to life, talking about some of the voice actors, that kind of thing. But right after that, they come to a much more interesting point about respeccing our party. I speculated on this in a video a while back, talking about how I wasn't sure if the origin characters would be completely respeccable, as some of them have stories tied to the class they are supposed to be. However, Larian confirms 2 things here. One, you absolutely can customize the origin character's class and everything as much as you want. So if you would like to make Will, who is supposed to be a warlock, into something else entirely, you can. However, they also mention what was essentially my concern. By doing this for the characters whose story is tied to that class, you can inadvertently cause yourself some problems. Because a lot of Will's story hinges on him being a warlock, so you're going to have some interactions there that might not exactly pan out. This is also true for Shadowheart, who is supposed to be a cleric of Shar. So long story short, can you do this? Yes, but it will also have the potential for messing up some of your story for the characters whose class is dependent on that. Then we get some notes about launch details in particular. First of all, there will be no preloading the game, which I'm sure many people will be sad to hear. However, the release timing is global, so they are releasing the game at 5 p.m. Ghent time, which for myself translates to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and whatever that time means for you on August 3rd, in case you were wondering when you would actually be able to play. The game also has cross saves enabled, which is directly on Larian's side, meaning that you can switch between playing PC, Steam Deck, and then when the PS5 launches, you could even play on PC, then go play on your PS5 or whatever. Then they go on to talk about 4K and ultra-wide, basically stating that all of the cinematics for the game and everything will be supported on ultra-wide monitors and in 4K due to the way that they have designed their cinematics from the beginning, so it should be a pretty good experience there. Though they do say if you're trying to run this at a native 4K, you're likely going to need at least a 4080 or a 4090 to not have problems. Anything less than that, and you might want to shoot for 1440. Though on that note, while they didn't mention it here, one of their developers mentioned that Wednesday probably, so tomorrow from this video, they should be releasing a secondary update of sorts talking about some best practices for getting the game to run very well for you. So if you're concerned about system requirements and everything, that might be a post to watch out for. But from there they go on to specify a few details about romances, specifically who can romance who. Any origin character you're playing can romance any other origin character, though the origin characters can't romance each other in a permanent fashion. And the romances won't work with multiplayer origins as well. Then they give some details about dialogue to wrap things up. This is information we kind of already knew if you've been playing early access, but it's nice to know if you haven't. Essentially though, you can click a button in the bottom left of the screen to pick up a dialogue history of the conversation you've been having in case you get lost or had to step away mid-conversation or something. So that's there for people, and then on top of that, they wanted to make sure people knew that when it comes to conversations, typically the character who you have selected at the time that conversation starts is who is going to be speaking and rolling the dice. You can switch to other characters while dialogue is happening, but that dialogue is limited to that character. This applies to multiplayer as well, though in multiplayer, the people who are not initiating the conversation can then witness it if they want to. This also, however, applies to conversations that start unexpectedly. If you have a character selected and you're walking around a corner and then get stopped by some event, the character you had selected is going to be who is talking. So because this is a D&D game where parties often have what is referred to as a face or a character who specifically does all the talking, that's important to remember. That said, that's pretty much everything to know about Community Update 22. Not particularly long, but I thought it would be fun to cover while I am otherwise busy with things I can't talk about right yet, as some of these details being publicly confirmed by Larian was nice to see, and I hope the people watching this found it interesting. That is going to do it for me today though, so I certainly hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube jazz, but regardless of any of that, truly, just thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.